All right, that is the end of the Greek disco music. Welcome everybody. Welcome to whether you're watching in real time. We're going to catch it later. You can see tonight I have the blue shirt as opposed to the white one I had last week. I like this one better because it fits looser. Anyway, so I noticed when I look at my YouTube channel, the shorter shows have more views. So if I get off at like 45 minutes, I'll get like 75 views. If I get drunk and like rant for 3 hours, it's going to be like 22 views. That's just the way it is. Nobody wants to be around. Nobody wants to hear it for that long. Nobody has that much time. Anyway, got a ton of stuff to cover as per usual. I'm going to try and get through it as fast as I can without speaking too fast so that no one understands me. A bunch of fun stuff. We had some always some doings and of course some fuckery. You know what I mean? There's what would the world be without fuckery? So anyway, the title of tonight's stream is Capo di Tutti Capi, which translated means the boss of bosses. It's was in my lifetime it was referred to as the head of the 5 mafia families in New York. So, and I've told the story before, but I'm going to tell it again because we have some new people in the audience, and it ties in with where I want to go later on. So let's start. Let's start with the screen share of somebody that is quite historically significant, really. As soon as my computer, which swears it, every time I check it, it says it's running faster, and it never runs faster. Do I have to click add to stream? No, it should just be there. There he is. That is one Charles Lucky Luciano. Like I said, I've told the story before, and I'm going to go over it relatively quickly. Lucky Luciano was a gangster in the 1920s in New York City. And sometime in 1929, he was kidnapped off the streets of Manhattan, brought by ferry boat to Staten Island, to the southern part of Staten Island, where he was beaten and shot in the head and left for dead because he was very popular amongst the mafioso. The mob boss that he worked for in Manhattan felt that he was a potential threat to his control, so he decided to get rid of Charles Luciano. Well, it turns out that Charles Luciano did not die on Staten Island. He lived, and not only did he recover, but he fell in with another mob boss from Brooklyn and promptly went to war against his old family. The historic gang war is referred to as the Castellammarise War, and you can Google that if you're interested. At any rate, Lucky Luciano, which was his new nickname, his faction and the Brooklyn faction won the street war and became the dominant mafia family in New York City. However, the Brooklyn boss noticed that this Luciano kid, he's real popular with the troops, and he's kind of looking like a threat to my control. And however, Lucky Luciano had seen this movie before, and rather than be, try to get lucky twice, he decided to take out his own boss and become Capo di Tutti Capi, the boss of all bosses. What's fascinating about this is that crime in the 20s and 30s was considered out of control in New York City. And this was when New York City was still probably 75 or 80% white. And Charles Luciano, or Lucky Luciano, he dressed like that. He was considered actually quite civilized and genteel for a gangster. But there was a young Republican district attorney named Thomas Dewey who wanted to make a name for himself, and he vowed to clean up New York City and get rid of the organized crime. And he targeted Lucky Luciano as his number one bad guy to get. And he eventually got him and put him in prison and sent him to prison way far away up in upstate New York, in Plattsburgh, I think, Plattsburgh, New York, which is it's a pretty far drive today, but back then there was no highways to get up there. So he removed Lucky Luciano from his New York power base, and this made him wildly popular. Thomas Dewey became governor of New York State, things were looking like he could go pretty far. Well, in the intervening time or post Luciano going to prison, World War II broke out, and at the time, the Liberty ships would leave from New York Harbor carrying all the materiel that America was leasing to its allies in the war against Hitler, in the war in Europe, and the U.S. Navy was deeply concerned about the security of the New York waterfront. And there was a naval intelligence officer who was actually an Annapolis college smart guy, but he's also a street smart guy. He knew that the Italians ran the docks, and he knew that the mob ran the Italians. So the U.S. Navy went to Thomas Dewey, the then governor, or now governor, and asked for permission to go up to Plattsburgh prison and offer Lucky Luciano a deal. And the deal was this: if you have your people, the cargo loaders, the longshoremen on the New York waterfront, tell us anything that they see out of order that doesn't belong. When the war's over, we'll let you go back to Sicily. Luciano accepted the deal, and then Thomas Dewey had to sign off on it. And so the deal was made between the U.S. Navy, the head of the New York Mafia, and Thomas Dewey. Well, as we all know, the war went America's way. All the Liberty ships safely left New York Harbor and safely returned, and nothing was blown up and nothing was sabotaged. And so post-World War II, Thomas Dewey's riding high. Like I said, he's a super popular guy, governor of New York. He's, the Republican candidate for president of the United States of America. And he's looking really good in the polls. But, shortly before the election, Luciano finally got tired of waiting around and said, "Hey, guys, you told me you'd let me go back to Sicily when the war was over." So Luciano was released from prison and he went back to Sicily. This opportunity, this created an opportunity for the Democratic Party, which was running Harry Truman as their candidate, who was way behind Thomas Dewey, like way behind. But in the last minute, effort to smear Thomas Dewey, they claimed that the release of Luciano was always a deal between Dewey and Luciano, and that they were always friends. That Thomas Dewey was not a crime fighter. He was not what he was the best friend of the gangsters, and that he was an untrustworthy guy. The Dewey campaign begged their candidate to tell the truth about the deal that was made with the U.S. Navy, and Dewey said no, that he had signed secrecy agreements and he would fulfill his secrecy agreements to the U.S. Navy. And he did not say anything about about the deal. And so there's the famous newspaper headline, Dewey beats Truman, that was published in Chicago. But like I said, this rumor had come out right before the election, and essentially it tanked Thomas Dewey's chance to get into the White House, and so Harry Truman became president. I was always fascinated by that story because I grew up on Staten Island, and of course Staten Island, being like a nowhere place in New York City, it's the forgotten borough of New York City. So that it was so pivotal in the outcome of the presidential race, is always fascinated me, that story, because if Lucky Luciano had died, if he wasn't so lucky, somebody else would have been the head of the mafia. Maybe they would have been born in America. Maybe they never would have wanted to travel back to Sicily. Who knows? How things might have changed. Anyway, but he was the boss of bosses, and so in today's video game culture, right? Everybody likes to watch video games, and you start the video game and you go out and you fight there's little whatever pests that you have to fight, and you have to fight all these guys, and then there's like a little bit tougher enemy, you have to fight him, and then you fight a tougher enemy, and then you fight more of the little guys, and eventually you get to the boss of that level, right? And you have to defeat the boss of that level 1, in order to get to level 2, right? And then level 2, there's a whole different set of little creatures, they're tougher than the level 1 guys, and on like that. So, and eventually to win the video game, you have to kill the final boss, whatever the final boss is, right? And so that's where we are with Bitcoin. September 7th was the date that Bitcoin became legal tender in El Salvador. And we had a very unusual, very unusual here it is, occurrence, because Michael Saylor, started this idea that everyone was going to buy $30 worth of Bitcoin on September 7th to pump up the price, in honor of the El Salvadorans adopting it as their legal tender. And it also be Brazil's Independence Day. I did not know that, but it was Brazil's Independence Day, and Brazil has a Bitcoin ETF. So there was the El Salvadorans, we in the United States, and Brazil. Everybody going to do like kind of an internet coordinated group buy on September 7th to pump the price of Bitcoin. And what happened? What happened instead was we dumped. I don't know how well you can see this. This is not looking contrasty enough for me. But I took a screenshot of the price of Bitcoin on September 7th. And it will come up relatively shortly. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's make that a little bit larger. Can we make that larger, James? You almost can't see it. It's almost impossible to see. Well, how about that? Oh, that might do it. That might do it. So there it is. Bitcoin down 10%. Every other crypto down 10, 15, 20%, with the exception of one, the third one in that line, which is a cryptocurrency called Solana. Solana happened to be up 10.61%, which was the same amount that Bitcoin was down on the day that everyone was going to buy Bitcoin to celebrate the first nation state adopting Bitcoin as its co-national currency with the US dollar. So there is fuckery afoot. Okay, it is extremely unlikely that the price would have dumped that much with coordinated buys from the United States, Brazil, and El Salvador all at once, right? So there is fuckery, there's nonstop, enormous pressure to put down Bitcoin. Oh wait, I got to find another screen share here. So who's doing this? Well, the final boss is doing this, really, but this is the biggest one of all. This is the. Hold on, I'm going to send myself an email, and we will continue rolling. All right, there we go. How is it possible? You know what I mean? That the price tanks when everybody expects it to go up. There's a group buy. There's more Bitcoin being bought on that day probably than any other day of the year, and the price tanks. So there's obvious manipulation, and the fact that the one crypto that went up, Solana, right, kind of implies to you that Solana is the crypto of Goldman Sachs. Okay. And one other thing, September 7th happens to be the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. I found that out from that crypto astrology bitch I talk about all the time. She said, by the way, to all my fellow Jews, happy Rosh Hashanah. Like we didn't know that the red crypto astrology woman was a member of the tribe, but they just got to stick it in your face. They have to stick it in your face at all times. So let me see if I got this email. So where are we at? Did I get it or I didn't get it? Come on, you got to give it to me. You got to give it to me. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that really sucks. Okay, so now I'm getting very unhappy with my computer performance. Really, really, really unhappy. Because Gmail doesn't want to work for me. and I have to think about what I'm going to do here. Waiting. I don't know what you're waiting for. Oh, here we go. All right, we got it. Oh, thank heaven. It's just doing this just to torture me. I know I said I was going to buy a new laptop and stuff, but I had to spend a whole lot of money on my car. My car being the primary way I make a living, and me using it 10 times more than a normal automobile, things wear out. So I had to pump about like $2,200 into the car in order to make sure it stayed on the road. But I was looking at laptops, and I'm trying to figure out what to get. Okay, here it is. This is beautiful. You want to know how important is Bitcoin and who would be fucking around with it? Well, here's an answer that just popped up relatively recently, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to screenshot it. So it's time to start drinking. It's like 22 minutes into this, and there's like not even a drop of alcohol. From Business Insider, central banks must roll up their sleeves and urgently speed up their work on their own digital currencies before crypto upends the current financial system, the BIS says. BIS stands for Bank for International Settlements. The Bank for International Settlements. That is the central bank to all other central banks. Why don't they just just call it, Rothschild Central? But this is from a day or two ago. So the fact that Bitcoin is threatening the current economic order is a very, very real thing. Whether you see it or whether you don't think so, I've mentioned time and time again, they will do anything, say anything, present any individual in any way to frighten you, to convince you to trade your Bitcoin for Solana or some other fucking crypto, to scare you into selling it, to scare you into not buying it, not trading your Zog bucks for Bitcoin. And they will use literally everything at their disposal, and they to extremes that you would find that appear ridiculous, but they're just trying to exercise control in literally in every direction. Here's a screenshot from Twitter. Everything literally, if it wasn't for Twitter, I would have absolutely nothing to talk about. No, that's not true. From a man, Stony Bison retweeted this, or Stony BTC. Come on, put it up on the screen. Here you go. Stony tweets, how scared are the money changers? They have a corporate policy at HGTV that you cannot say Bitcoin on a house hunter show. So this guy, and he screenshots another tweet, a guy named Paul Knight. He said, my sister is going to be on HGTV House Hunters. I sent her an Antminer S9, which is a type of Bitcoin mining rig, but it's really old and it's not good and you shouldn't buy one. But anyway, he says, I sent her an Antminer S9 as a housewarming present, but the producers won't let her say Bitcoin. She has to say cryptocurrency. So HGTV has an editorial policy that you cannot say Bitcoin on air. At what level you think to yourself, this is like, really, you can't even say the word? You have to remember who we're dealing with. You have to remember the type of people we're dealing with. You cannot even say the word because thieves are not big fans of Bitcoin. We're gonna go make a left turn here a little bit. Thieves, I meant to do this earlier, like a week or two ago. That's lovely big. That's so big and bright and beautiful. And this was I thought a pretty important story, although you might not think so from looking at it. Come on now, just be a little slower. There you go. Britney Spears, the former pop star. Britney Spears might have used Bitcoin to hide purchases from her. So Britney Spears, as a lot of people might know, was a child performer. Her father was not in her life, and she would sing and dance, and she became something of a teen phenomenon some years ago. She was really popular, became a cultural icon. A lot of people don't like her or didn't like her. Eventually, she decided she didn't want to be a pop star anymore, and she gained a ton of weight, and she shaved her head, and she did everything she could to not be Britney Spears anymore. But they wouldn't leave her alone because she's probably worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And as she fell from the public eye, she got surrounded by thieves. One of the thieves was her own father, who was not there at all in the early part of her life. But once she became a super rich pop star, he rediscovered his love for his daughter. Well, Britney Spears has since been considered able to manage her own affairs, and her father and some doctors and some lawyers are all sticking their hands in her bank account and stealing from her nonstop. She's currently in a fight for her life, for her sanity and her freedom. And a lot of people might think, well, I don't think much of Britney Spears as a singer. She's not, her artistic level is insufficiently developed for me, and I will withhold my aesthetic approval because I do not respect Britney Spears as an artist. Well, I've got some news for you. One, nobody gives a fuck about your aesthetic fucking approval, right? Britney Spears, whatever you think of her art, okay, fulfilled every contract she ever signed. She signed contracts to wear costumes and to go out on stage and to sing and dance and to put on a show for 2.5 and 3 hours and do whatever the fuck she was going to do in front of TV and travel the world. And that's what she did. She never once balked. She never walked off stage. She never threw fits. She fulfilled her end of the contract, made millions and tens of millions of dollars. And a lot of other people made money from her too. But when she decided she wanted to quit because she made, God tier wealth by the time she was 29 years old, the parasites, the thieves around her didn't want her to quit. And when she quit anyway, by gaining weight and shaving her head and behaving in ways that were, neurotic, they had to throw in a mental institution, and they took over control of her bank accounts, and they've been stealing from her ever since. And now she's fighting to get her life back. And again, I don't give a shit what you think of fucking Britney Spears as an artist, because your opinion of Britney Spears is worth shit, right? She will go in history books as a famous pop star. You will die in an unmarked fucking grave. But when you look at this story, there's two sides you can take. You can take the side of Britney Spears, someone who fulfilled every contract she ever signed and did exactly what was asked of her, expected of her, and exactly what she promised to do. Or you can take the side of the thieves, the people stealing from her, the courts, the doctors, all these people with credentials and went to great fucking schools and have fucking high titles. They're all stealing from this fucking woman. And you are either on the side of those who produce things of value, and I don't give a fuck, again, what you think of her concerts or her music. Enough people valued it that she made a lot of money, and enough people, she has enough money so that the thieves, one of which is her own father, will not leave her alone, have had her committed to a mental asylum in order to steal all her fucking money. You're on the side of the thieves, or you're on the side of the honest people who fulfill their contracts. That's all to it. There's no other way to look at that. And again, your aesthetic approval, or whether you think she's sufficiently artistic, nobody gives a fuck, you jerk off. Nobody fucking gives a shit. She fulfilled her fucking contracts. She should get to live in fucking peace. She don't want to go on stage no more. She doesn't want to dance around. She wants to do other shit. Leave her the fuck alone. But if you think that this means nothing, understand if they can do this to a multimillionaires, what can they do to you? I want to try to drive this point home. If they can do this to someone with significant wealth and resources, which Mrs. Spears has, or Ms. Spears has. I don't know what the fuck you call her. But if they can do that to her, what could they do to you? You know what I mean? What can they do to you? And so part of what I try to do when I do these streams is to focus people's minds on how to see the world the right fucking way. You know what I mean? It's very, very easy to get confused, to get lost, to get it wrong for 100 different reasons. You know, your individual character flaws and the fact that information is presented to you in a way that is thoroughly dishonest. So dialing in what is clear and fact-based is not real common. So if you come here, hopefully I can do that for you a little bit. And then you can hang on to that, because you got to go back out into that world of fucking bullshit and distortions. And without sort of some clarity in how social media works and who's doing what on social media, you can get lost real fucking easy. Really easy. Who's Daima? Daima in the chat. Welcome to the show. Do I appear at other live streams? Ironically, found you through some kind of archiver. Really, I've been archived by the chosen people. That is outstanding. That is good to know that my notoriety spreads. I used to do other live streams. I used to be on other people's channels a lot, but I have a bit of a combative style. People hear me because I sound like Joey Bag of Donuts, and they think this guy's really not that smart. And I'll say something, and they think, well, you know, I don't know. They think they're going to argue with me or whatever, and that it's going to be an easy win for them, and it turns into essentially a nightmare for them. Because I'm really good at argument. You know, God, who I don't believe in, has given me the magical argument gene, which I use through the Joey Bag of Donuts fucking accent, and I have a tendency to destroy people, even though I don't want to, even though I try not to. I'll give a perfect example. There's a guy who's subscribed to this channel, a guy named Josh Neal. He's an author and you know, something of a dissident, right? So he's on Twitter, and Twitter has these conference calls called Spaces. You need to have the Twitter app on your phone in order to get on them. You can't do it from a web browser. But you decide to hold a space, and then people join the space to listen, you know, and you can do a monologue, you can do whatever you want to do, and anyone in that space, and it can be 20, 30. I was one that was with, I don't know how many people, 30, 35, 40 people. And you can request to speak. So maybe there's a subject, maybe there's not a subject. And I'm talking about extensively about this Spaces thing with Josh Neal. So the first time I saw him do one, I didn't have the Twitter app on my phone. I was like, I don't understand how I could only report the stream. I couldn't, or the space. I couldn't get on there or request a mic. So I download the app, blah, 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 blah. And so I get on the next one. And I didn't really, you know, the subject was, there's a bunch of different people, a couple of people that Neil knows in real life on the stream. And they were talking about, you know, it's the state of the culture, and we need God, and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And so there was one guy who's a big Roman Catholic Church supporter, and he was talking some very strange things, and trying to talk about, you know, I said, listen, like, I knew these people, none of them knew me. Like, there are people that are in the chat that know me, that know that I'm like I can be like a, you know, rip your head off and drink the blood coming out of your neck kind of guy, you know, in terms of verbal aggression online. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be like the bull in the china shop. And I said to the people, I was like, I don't want to be the bull in the china shop. I just want to be gingerly here and try to play nice with the other people who are, a lot of them were very well educated. You could hear it. They're talking. They would give the list of books that they read, like, you know, and summaries of these books. It's like to do 17 minutes just to tell you what books they read, which was the setup to tell you what they think, you know, what their observation was about, you know, social media. And I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? That was like really long setups. But smart people, bright people, very good at understanding or memorizing complex pieces of text. And so they're talking about different things. And I'm like, and Josh Steele's like, yeah, come on, come on, come on the show. And he's like, he wants me to talk. Like, man, I don't know that that this crowd is quite ready for me. Anyways, so I go on. A bunch of things happen. One, I'm going between the browser and the Twitter app on my phone. I'm holding the phone to my ear, and I have actually rather large ears. So, and I'm not saying it just to be self-deprecating. My ear was hitting fucking something on the app and knocking me off the fucking call. So that was fucked up because I'm trying to make sure that I'm not that my voice is, you can hear me. You know what I mean? I should have held the phone like this, is what I ended up doing later, but whatever. So I got knocked off the call a couple times. Richard Spencer was actually on the call for like 3 minutes when I wasn't there, which I fucking missed an opportunity there, but it doesn't get recorded. So what good would it have done? Anyway, Neil's poking me. He wants me to talk about Bitcoin. So I throw out the B word, I throw out Bitcoin, and then it like activates the two fucking feds in the chat. There were two feds in the chat. One guy's Mr. Hey, I'm Joe Successful, and I've made so much money. Me and my friends trading NFTs, and we got this crypto signals group, and I'm like DMing Neil. I'm like, get this fucking guy. This guy's shilling fucking altcoins, shitcoins on your fucking stream. Like, I was like, get him off. What the fuck are you doing? Kick the guy. Like, I don't even know if you could. I guess you can kick somebody from these things. I've never hosted one, so I don't know. And so I'm like trying to gently like push back and to try to redirect, but this guy's like, hey, I just really want everyone to be like successful and happy. Like me and all my friends, we drive big cars, we have barbecues, we eat a lot of beef and swim in swimming pool, whatever the fuck he's saying. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, this motherfucker shilling shitcoins. And then there's a Fed female who's trying to jump in. She doesn't have the right timing yet. So, and I'm like, okay, I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm knocking this guy out. So now I come out like a fucking monster, and I start swinging away at this guy. You fucking shitcoin shilling motherfucker. Yeah, you just want everybody to be rich. Who the fuck are you? You just show up and you want the whole world to be as rich and happy as you are, and you'll be more than happy to fucking take people's money and direct them to whatever the fuck it is. You fucking lying sack of shit. Like, I got to go into this, right? I got to go 100% Brooklynese on the fucking guy. So he tries to push back a little bit. But listen, I can go very fast and fucking overwhelm a lot of people verbally. I'm really good at that. So boom, off he goes. Then here comes Fed Girl. And I don't know, she's like, oh, well, you know what they really don't want you to do? Have you heard about, and I don't know what the fuck she called them. But she's like, you're going to think I'm making this up, and I'm not making it up. She says, there are small underground houses that have everything. They have electricity and this and that, and you can grow all your own food in underground greenhouses. And the powers that be don't want you to be self-sufficient. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, huh? What? She was like, if you're interested, I could send you to a website and blah, 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 blah. And it's, forget Bitcoin. You can live off the grid in these small little houses underground. And I'm like, and I'm like 2 beats behind because I didn't realize, oh, look, it's 2 feds in a row. I'm like, no, lady, I'm not interested in living in a fucking hobbit house. You know what I mean? And so that knocks her on her ass. That's all I said. Like, she's not good at this. She's reading from the script somewhere. And she keeps trying to push it. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, you can grow food underground. I'm like, grow food underground. I was like, how? Oh, in greenhouses. Like I said, the sun comes underground. Do you understand what the fucking greenhouse is, lady? You know what I mean? And now she's like really rattled. So I end up getting rid of her. And so that's that. So I knocked those 2 people off the call, and then they're gone. And then so I'm trying to get things back on track. And there's some guy who's like, hey, one of the guys that Neil knows IRL. Who honestly, the way he was talking, I thought it was a tribe member, but he's not. At any rate, he's some guy probably with a lot of material resources who thinks that America's primary problem is we don't have a good enough relationship with God or something like that. And I'm trying to say, listen, there are people going to the ATM getting fucking hit with hatchets by lunatics who spent all their paycheck on fucking E&J brandy or something like that. You know what I mean? There are much more real world and immediate problems than your your spiritual balance of whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to argue with. I really don't want to argue with the church and Christian people. It's just pointless. You know what I mean? I expend tons of energy and I change nobody's mind. What I'm trying to do to fulfill what I think is a more important goal is this. I will say this: Jesus is there to save your soul, but it's up to you to save your own ass. Okay, so your relationship, your soul relationship to the divine, that has nothing to do with fucking a practical way to keep yourself safe from hyperinflation and the civil unrest that's going to come from it, and the lunatics that are gonna go act like fucking lunatics. So Dayway, back for a second week. Jimmy, can you unban? I don't know who Villahammer Aleph is. I don't have the power actually to ban anybody in this channel because Google locks me out. It won't let me change anything. So I can broadcast to this channel, but I can't unban anyone. You have to call the NSA or whoever runs Google and have them unban somebody, because I try to ban Tom Anderson, but I can't ban anybody on this channel. I can broadcast to it, but I don't have control over it. But since everyone knows this channel, I still use this. I have another channel with like 4 subscribers, which I haven't really used, but I don't have the power to ban or unban anybody, really. I mean, I can make your messages disappear from the chat so I don't see them, but I don't have the power to stop you from coming to the channel. So anyway, okay, so I knock out Mr. I just want everyone to be rich. Here, check out my altcoins. I knock that fucking prick out, and then I knock out Mrs. Live in the pod lady. And so the conversation's going on. Why CIA banned me? I don't know what I just explained. I don't have the power. I don't know who bans you or doesn't ban you. I have no idea. Okay. Nobody's banning you. You're here in the chat. So I don't know what you mean. And everybody makes stock accounts anyway. So what? But to continue with this Twitter Spaces call that Josh Neal was hosting that I was on, and he's like, Neal is like poking me, like, go, like, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me. Don't make me be like a fucking monster. But anyway, I ended up having become a monster. Boomer, when you hide someone's comments, you ban them. I guess I don't even do that. I'm not doing it to you. The reason why I would do that is because I just don't have that much energy. Like, you know what I mean? It takes 10 times the energy to fight the trolls than it takes to just, move on. Then you spend all day, every day fighting trolls, and you don't do whatever it is you plan to do. Whether you think what I'm doing is worthwhile or you think it's worthless, whatever, that's your decision to make, your determination to make. But my determination of how much energy I'm going to fight on essentially losing battles, well, that's my decision to make too, right? So, and you can't, like they say, you can't throw rocks at every dog that barks at you along the street. You just can't. You don't have enough time. There aren't enough rocks on the road. So Roman Catholic Church guy starts talking, and I'm trying again not to fight with the church, right? I don't want to fight with I'm trying not to do this. And the guy's like, well, I said, from my read of history, I said, the church, the Bible, has not had sufficient power to restrain the evil deeds of people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of evil done, and the church didn't really stop any of it. And the guy did something crazy. He says, sometimes the church condoned it, and so sometimes the church can stop it. But it was one time the church absolutely shut down evil. And I was like, stop the war. I'm like, really? Stop the war? And he says, the Pope went to Genghis Khan when Genghis Khan was at the doorstep of Europe and read him the Riot Act and turned him around and stopped the Mongol invasion of Europe. And I'm like, and I'm paraphrasing what the guy said, but this is what he said. And I'm like, I never heard that. I never heard that. So, and I'm like, I don't know that. So I Googled this. I'm going to show you what I found. which was some fun stuff. There's fun stuff here. Fun stuff for me. Okay, here's going to be a screen share that I got from, I don't remember what side it is, but you could just Google like the Pope. The Pope makes Pope versus Genghis Khan. I think I don't know. I just plain English type in stuff to DuckDuckGo. So let's see how big this is. If it's easy to read, we're gonna make it bigger. It's a little bit small. All right. Well, I'll make it one click. One click. How's that going to work? Is it going to work? All right, there. In the year 1237, the Mongols, now led by Genghis Khan's son and successor, Odagai, turned on Europe, unleashing a reign of terror. Just when it seemed that nothing could save Christendom, the kingdom of Christ, Odagai died. The throne was elective. The election required the presence of all the Mongol nobles, and still undefeated, the Mongol army poured back into Mongolia to elect a new leader. At this stage, Pope Innocent IV decided to send a mission to the Mongol leader demanding that their attacks cease. So, not exactly, the Pope didn't exactly read the riot act to Genghis Khan's son. Now, I know you're not supposed to say Genghis Khan. Jonathan Pole's going to see this. He's going to be screaming, it's Genghis Khan. It's Genghis. It's Genghis Khan. Until I'm in fucking Mongolia and I got to say it right, I'm going to say it the way I want to say it, which is Genghis Khan, which is the way I was taught to say it as a kid. So Genghis Khan's son was the leader of the Mongols. Nobody could stop them. If it wasn't the fact that he croaked, at an early age from whatever he croaked from, I think he had epilepsy and some motherfucking disease. And the Mongols, undefeated, decided to turn around and go back to Mongolia. That's when the Pope comes out and goes, yeah, motherfuckers, you better not come back. Like really, that's it. You know what I mean? That's like two guys in a street fight, and one guy gets pasted. The cops come, and arrest the winner. And then the guy, all bloody, gets up and says, yeah, as they're putting the winner in the police car. Yeah, motherfucker, take that. It wasn't even close to the truth. But this Roman Catholic guy, and he sounds like a very sincere guy, he's talking like he believed it. And by the way, the Pope didn't go himself to see the Mongols. He sent some other dude. He sent some emissary dude. But I'm like, holy fucking shit. But and looking at that, I was like, oh, I got to talk about this. Like this guy and this Roman Catholic Church guy, like the church does no wrong. And he imagines that the church is always standing against what he imagines to be liberalism. And liberalism appears like literally in every human age from, I guess, the fall of the Roman Empire to today. And the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church is the only bulwark against it. But I'm going to do the screen share again because for all this that I get to tweet people with this is going to be beautiful. People talk shit about an ethno state. They're always talking about, oh, we all got to be one people, and if we're all acted as one people, we'd be unstoppable. Yeah, like the Mongols, right? But if you look at the middle of this, it said, the throne was elective. The election required the presence of the Mongol nobles. So Mongolia, the wild Mongolian terror of terrors, was practicing a crude, rudimentary form of democracy. The leader of the Mongols had to be elected. Was not chosen by God. He was elected by the other nobles. So even the Mongolians, wild savages piling up, piles of skulls as high, like higher than a man on horseback, couldn't look over the pile of skulls of their enemies, were practicing a crude form of democracy. So little gift for all you democracy haters out there. You know what I mean? Next time you want to hold up Genghis Khan as your model, understand you're holding up a crude example of democracy or decentralized or power sharing arrangement. You know what I mean? You can like it or you can live with fucking history. So, but that particular thing was a twofer for me because I get to tweak the democracy haters. All right, so let's go with this guy. Talking about fuckery, talking about what really drives human behavior and what the real dangers of the future are. If you don't feel it now, I understand you don't see it and you don't feel it now because things are still relatively good and everything's mostly working. But I pointed out that on Bitcoin Day, September 7th, Bitcoin dropped, for no reason, even though there was essentially a group buy in 3 different countries. And Solana was the only crypto that rose on that day. And also that was the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Here's another screenshot from some dude. I don't know who he is. He's some Shabbos fucking goy, Nicholas Weaver. And he's very anti-Bitcoin. And he says, as long as Bitcoin's price is high, its consumption is inevitable. The system is deliberately anti-efficient. That's to say, people value Bitcoin because the price is high. And that Bitcoin consumes too much electricity. And that the only way to drop the power consumption by 90% is for the price of Bitcoin to drop by 90%. And that he finishes with, Bitcoin really is a crime against humanity. Bitcoin is a Nazi. I don't know what the fuck it is. Bitcoin is genocide. Like who can fucking take someone like this guy? Now, I don't know who this guy is. He's probably some important dude who went to a big school and works in government or whatever, or some NGO. But like, how do you type that out? Bitcoin is a crime against humanity with a straight face. How the fuck are these people not trolling you? Like, you look at this and you think, you gotta be trolled. Like, you're trolling. Like, you don't really fucking mean this. You know what I mean? But no. This he means it. Bitcoin is a crime against humanity. Yeah, who do you think's paying him to say that? Okay. So let's go with, is this my dude? Then there's this dude. Okay, we got to talk about, how the fuck did I just lose 4 viewers? There was a guy when COVID first kicked off, a Canadian guy, that went up to like they were doing like a man on the street thing, an MOS thing. They're talking to people about whatever, and he just comes out of nowhere, and he's a Lyft bro. He's like all jacked, and he's got a neck tattoo. His neck is tattooed all dark colors, and he's wearing glasses, and he starts talking about the UN who created this document of 5 stages, and all the nations are following it, and the UN is responsible for all this, and different countries call it different things. Some call it stage 1 through 5, some do colors, but it's all the same thing. It's a document disseminated by the United Nations, and it's the government response to COVID. That's why every government responds to COVID in exactly the same way, because the United Nations is pulling the strings behind the scenes. This is what this guy actually says. The guy's name is Chris Tay. He's on Twitter. I'll show you his picture. So just make sure that picture is up. So you might have seen him. He went viral, and you got to realize that whether it's on television or in the movies, there's no way you're going viral. There's no way that you can become famous organically, right? The concept of organic fame, that you're just so good at what you do, you're so charming, you're so clever, you're so talented that you just become famous. Well, you have to be very naive to believe that. So that's Chris Tay. You can see him. He's driving in, I think somebody identified that vehicle as a $80,000 Range Rover. I don't know that that's true. That's not true. But so he's got these big aviator glasses. You can see he's on roids. You can see he's tatted up. He has a small beard, but what's below his beard is a neck tattoo. Okay. And he has these, his upper teeth seem like false teeth. They seem like some very, very weird teeth. So this is Chris Tay. Now I'm going to play you 57 seconds of audio about Chris Tay, who is an expert on the United Nations taking things over. But you know, Chris Tay all of a sudden came out against Bitcoin. So here's Chris. Let's see. Let's come on. No, not that one. Let's go to Chris. I got him on. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. Driving in this car.
SOS. I just got out of jail again, third time in the last week, my 8th bail. Why? The vaccine passport is their ultimate priority, and we must stop it at any cost. Everybody that's been sitting on the sidelines, when they want to help, they want to do something, showing up, taking a selfie, and buying a t-shirt ain't gonna cut it. Ladies and gentlemen, we need the big boys to get off the fence. I'm talking to you, Mr. BTCs and crypto holders. Who do you think's going to be enemy number one after they get their vaccine passport and digital currency? The Bank of Canada is already hiring somebody to make their own digital currency. And if you think your assets are going to be safe, maybe they will be, but they don't have to find their assets. They just have to find you. So either you guys start helping me now before this gets implemented and we can't stop it, or it's going to be too late for all of us.
Wow, what a great guy. What a humanitarian. What a humanitarian, right? He actually made that video. That's him in the car making that video saying, listen, if you don't send me your Bitcoin, the government of Canada is going to throw you in jail. The only way you can avoid prison is to send me your Bitcoin. That's what this guy's saying, right? That's what this guy's saying. He goes, so he comes out of the blue in front of a camera. He's an expert on COVID and blah, 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 blah. And he's putting the blame on the United Nations. Now, why is he doing that? The reason why he's doing it is because he works for Israel, okay? Israel wants the United Nations gone so they can replace it with their one world government. That's like not the biggest deal. They want, like, remember the United Nations. Do you remember when they tried to stop us from invading Iraq in 2003 and we invaded Iraq anyway? They had their own weapons inspector, that guy Hans Bricks or whatever, Bricks, whatever their name is. You know what I mean? And he said, no, Saddam Hussein don't have no WMD. And no, Washington push. And they smeared this guy and we invaded Iraq anyway. And guess what? They had no WMD. So how did the UN, which was unable to stop America at all in 2003, all of a sudden in the catbird seat where they can direct every government on earth 17 years later, to the T exactly. Like, how does it, like, really, he tries to lay it all on the feet of the UN because there are people who want the UN gone so they can replace it with their own organization that does exactly what they want. And now he's telling you, listen, are you afraid of this vax passport? Are you afraid of COVID? Are you afraid of the loss of your constitutional rights? You better send me all your Bitcoin. Send all your Bitcoin to me, or else you'll go to jail and then you'll never get out. They may not be able to get your Bitcoin, but they can put you in a cell forever. Okay? So Twitter and Bitcoin Twitter, like I said, this, whatever, we've been called cyber hornets, we've been called a bunch of different things. But Bitcoin Twitter is not like, not at all like anything else. We don't give a fuck. Like, you don't understand. We don't fucking care. We are way more confrontational. Way more confrontational. People cry like, oh, so-and-so called me a fed, so-and-so called me a shill, whatever. Like, you curl up in a fucking ball and go cry in a pink frilly pillow, and we just fucking go to work. We just fucking go to war. Immediately, somebody did, this is one of those Twitter spaces. Hi, I'm Chris Sky, and I'm having a Bitcoin party. And the guy's screen name is Boko Soy. This was like within like minutes of that fucking video hitting. Okay. So the attacks on Chris had begun. They were trolling him, and this was getting retweeted, of course, and retweeted. So let's see what else. What else did they do with? Yeah, here we go. This was another one. You know what I mean? these are bright guys who understand a lot of things about social media, and the way to humiliate and bring somebody down by using sarcasm and mockery. So here's another one. Chris Sky, come save us with your united non-compliance. Right? This, it doesn't end. It didn't stop. It kept going and going and going. So I'll give you another example. And all of this is really like, this is what, in the early days of whatever was the alt-right could have been, it was like this. There was a lot of individual efforts in a bunch that all generally went in the same direction, but weren't 100% coordinated. So here's another one. Judas Chai Waffen in the chat. Nice shirt. Thank you, Judas Chai Waffen. Here we go. Dylan Leclerc, watching Jim Stradamus get destroyed in real time is quite something. They went after this guy hammer and tongs. Nobody needed to say it. We all just knew who the target was. He wants to attack Bitcoin. He wants to threaten people who hold Bitcoin with prison. Like, who the fuck are you? You roided up fucking Shabos Goy fucking tool. And I guarantee that guy's at least part fucking Jewish. You know what I mean? He's got fucking Coke bottle fucking glasses and a fucking neck tattoo. Are you fucking kidding me? So who's he working for? You know what I mean? Is he really, he's working for himself? No, I don't think so. Here's another one. Here's how we take our ideas and mix them in with the trolling, right? So, see how well you can see this. Show up on my screen. The memes do not stop. Memetic warfare is memetic warfare. So you see in the background a tornado, government money printing, right? And then there's a little guy. That head is Chris Sky, and in the lower left-hand corner it says vaccine passports and mandates. You know what I mean? The Bitcoin people understand hyperinflation and the dangers it poses to our civilization. And no roided up fucking tool of the Rothschilds is going to fucking knock us off our fucking track. You don't understand how focused we are and how reality based we are. This is entirely different than anything they've encountered before. You know what I mean? The fact that they managed to knock Bitcoin down 10 or 12% on September 7th, nobody sold Bitcoin. Nobody I knew sold Bitcoin. We're like, yeah, we're all up anywhere. We're all up hundreds of percent anyway. Okay. But there was a concerted effort from social media influencers. And think about the guy, Chris Sky. Chris Sky is like the astrology woman. It's like a bunch of other people, even like, well, not Cernovich so much because he pretends to have a family, but most of these people, you notice these social media influencers, they have no friends, they have no family, they never talk about their mom or their fucking dog or their cousin or their, like, you know what I mean? The only one who does that is Cernovich. And we all know how fake that is. But it's a marriage of convenience, not a marriage of convenience, a relationship of convenience. But these social media influencers it's just that they're like a solo, they're a star. You know what I mean? There's no one else next to them. Like I said, they have no friends, they have no coworkers, they have no mom, no dad, no sisters, no brothers, no cousins. They never have a family event to go to. They're just, look, I'm viral. I'm the viral social media person. Listen to me when I tell you to do X. You know, it's so obvious what's missing from the fucking picture. It's obvious to anyone who has a fucking, that ever had a fucking real life, but it's not so obvious if all your time is spent staring at a screen. And we all spend hours and hours staring at screens. And like I said earlier, if what I can do is try to focus you a little bit more on to stay close to where the facts are, to stay reality based, rather than get lost in this fucking digital sauce. Then I have done a public service. What else do we got? What else do we got? Yeah, this is ultimately, at the end of the day, this is why we Bitcoin, because the reality, people that thought they were political dissidents and they have such a sense of drama, which is crazy. Like, I get people like me that like actually went to Charlottesville and shit like that, and that my face is public and I say the things I say. And there was, because I live around a bunch of Indonesians, like 2.5 months ago, I walked out of my apartment door and the FBI counterterrorism task force was on my street. They weren't looking for me, amazingly, but they were looking at one of my neighbors. And of course, I got scammed out of my Bitcoin October 12th, 2020 by the NSA. And they tried again, not that long ago, to get what Bitcoin I had left in my Gemini account. But I defeated them on the second attempt. The first time I really didn't see it coming, but I learned fast, and I upped my security dramatically. So I shut them down. So listen, I've more than anybody else, I fucking lived this shit, and or a lot more than a lot of other people. I've actually lived this shit, and so But this meme right here, this is the reality. You think there's going to be a stack on your door of SWAT team guys or military or Leo guys, right? There's going to be an entry team, and they're going to come in. They're going to kick in your door with a one of those bulletproof shields, and they're going to throw flashbangs, and they're going to be like they're not going to do any of that stuff. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the lower image. You know what I mean? This is how they will control you, and this is better than 1,000 entry teams. They don't have 1,000 entry teams, and they wouldn't even be able to kick in the right doors anyway. You know what I mean? It's just so much easier to do what's on the bottom picture. Just shut you off financially, make you fucking homeless and starving. Okay, and then for a lot of people who don't have good relationships with their family, and I think that includes Britney Spears, right? Even you could be super successful and world famous, and your own family is a bunch of fucking thieves who are willing to put you in a mental institution and pump your brain full of drugs in order to steal what you have. That's true for Britney Spears. It's true for a lot of people. Your family it's not a normal Rockwell painting. You know what I mean? You think it's all, oh, my family's fucked up, but the people across the street live like Norman Rockwell. No, they don't. Okay. And that those who control material resources can control who gets to say what, who dares to say what. When they shut off your bank account, it's 10 times better than shooting you. It's 1,000 times better than shooting you. Do you not understand that? It's so much easier for them. You literally just push a button and it ends. You know what I mean? This is why an alternative system of value, Bitcoin, is so fucking important. This is why the Bank of International Settlements is screaming at world governments to make up your own central bank digital currencies. This is why Jim Stradamus or Bro Stradamus is telling you, if you're afraid of the vax, send me all your Bitcoin. I don't see what the connection there is. But if you're afraid of the vax, send me your Bitcoin. That way the government won't put you in prison. Like I said, there is nothing they will not say. And it will be 24/7, full spectrum, whatever you look at, whatever platform you use, there'll be influencers, there'll be something, they will always be trying to work you. They will constantly try to work you. They will try to use fear or use whatever they can to convince you not to trade your US dollars for Bitcoin, and I think you should, or to give up your Bitcoin, that way you don't go to prison. And you might think, well, that's absolutely crazy, but hey, listen, what did I just show you with our friend Chris Sky? All right, what else do we have? Okay, this is what I want to. This is the other thing. I'll show you this. So in my never-ending quest, to to save my assets, I went and bought some of these. I gotta plan up these things. Show up on the screen. Show up on the screen. Come on. Come on. There we go. These objects are called open dimes. They are Bitcoin bearer instruments. They're essentially USD devices that you put Bitcoin on, and it stays there, and you can pass it hand to hand without any record of the Bitcoin moving anywhere. So you move it once onto the device, and then you can hand it off to somebody, and it doesn't have to go from electronic wallet. It is absolutely 100% untraceable. So here's the packet I have, right? And so these are the things. Right? The guys that make them wear them as jewelry. They actually put them on like they wear them like this, like jewelry. It's kind of weird, but I figured I'd do it just for the show. But you take these things, you put them in any USB device. The setup is pretty easy. They're half set up from the packet, right? You have to add some random files from your computer on there. You add some random files, and what am I doing? And then there's over here. There's two little lights that light up. You can go on YouTube and just put an open dime. You can see how to set these things up. But you can put Bitcoin on them and just hand them to somebody that somebody can check how much Bitcoin is on the thing. So, 100th of a Bitcoin, a 10th of a Bitcoin, a quarter of a Bitcoin, whatever. And you can just hand it to somebody and they have it. Now, how do you get the Bitcoin off the thing? Well, the way you get it off, I don't know if you can see this. There's a lot of, looks like a semi-clear glaze or like glue or something, epoxy on here. So there's a little, where's that round thing? Where is it? It's always backwards. Oh, yeah. What if I do it this way? There you go. You see that little golden circle right there? Okay. You pierce the outside glaze with a pin or something, and that breaks open the device. And it shows you your private key, and then you can move the Bitcoin off this thing to a Bitcoin wallet or some other storage device. But this is a really, really unique thing. I paid for a packet of 3 of these $76. So you can load them up with as much as you want, as often as you want, and when you move the Bitcoin off them, it's done. It's like it's used up. But it's a bearer instrument, like a bond or something like that. So there's a lot of different choices. There's a lot of different ways to hold this stuff. There's ledgers, there's Trezors, there's the Jade thing, there's cold cards, there's open dimes, there's a bunch of different things. There are paper wallets. And the value of this, if I cannot successfully communicate to you how important this stuff is, when they have crazy neck tattoo bro threatening you with prison, you know what I mean? The point of beating the final boss, you know what I mean? Beating this level, like, is Chris Sky the boss of this level? Probably not. But all these social media influencers are looking to shape how you think and what you do, and you should not listen to them. You should understand that we're looking to fight the boss of bosses. Bitcoin was designed to destroy the final boss. We have a lot of levels to go through. We have a lot of things to do first. And that right now you can still trade your US dollars, your green Zog bucks for Bitcoin. You're going to look back at this period in history as a golden age, because in the future you will not be able to do that. You will have to trade something else for Bitcoin and at a much less favorable exchange rate. So, all right, so bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, the thing about the other thing I would have talk about like being a dissident and going to Charlottesville, and you think all the people that ever got doxxed and whose lives got fucking ruined. One of the things I was thinking of, because I missed the opportunity to like give Spencer an earful, but I thought it would have worked out anyway. He probably would have ran away like he always does. But if you remember way back in the day, like the very beginning of Richard Spencer's rise was when he had his little conference down in DC there, and the so-called Heilgate, where he's at the podium and he's giving a speech and he's like, "Hail our people," and he throws up a fucking Roman salute. And the media covered it, right? There was media there, of course, because whatever. This is what you want to allow. You want to allow people, and a bunch of people. And I remember this video. I should grab some stills from it if I find it online. But a bunch of people supposedly out of the blue, when Spencer holds up a drink or whatever the fuck he does and says "Hail our people" and throws up a Roman salute, a bunch of people run forward and they throw up a fucking Roman salute. There's like 2 or 3 people on that video that just pop up in this room. Listen, Washington, D.C. doesn't have anybody like that. I assure you. I go down to fucking Dulles Airport all the time. I interact with people from that area all the fucking time. There's nobody like that there. There's nobody like that there. But of all the people who got doxxed at Charlottesville, the January 6th people, the FBI's kicking in their fucking doors, you know what I mean? Because they think they might have had pepper spray on them or some fucking shit like that. That those people, of all the people who ever got doxxed, the people who were throwing up Roman salutes at the original Heilgate never got doxxed. They never got doxxed, which is pretty fucking amazing because the media had their pictures. They know who they were. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a dissident guy, there was a famous, a notorious pictures from Charlottesville of a guy, a tall blonde-haired guy with a fucking Nazi flag hanging on a fucking stick over his shoulder, and he's looking at his phone. But the Nazi flag still had all the folds from it because it had just been taken out of its packaging that morning and stapled to the fucking stick. It was one of the few guys at Charlottesville who never got doxxed, right? He's openly carrying a Nazi flag, right? But it had all the crinkles from the folds because they just took it out of the fucking packaging. He never got doxxed. You know why he never got doxxed? Because he works in the fucking FBI. And all the people at the original Heilgate thing who ran forward in front of the cameras and threw up their fucking Roman salutes to show that there were Nazis in Washington, D.C., none of those motherfuckers ever got doxxed either. There was a kid, an 18-year-old kid who worked at a sub shop or a sandwich shop, whatever you want to call it, a grinder shop in California, who went to Charlottesville, and he got doxxed and he lost his fucking job. Kid making fucking sandwiches for a fucking living, right? So, and they got him, but the motherfuckers that on video were throwing up fucking Roman salutes to Richard Spencer's speech, those guys they never got. I look at not only what happened, but what didn't fucking happen. Who got, you know what I mean? I look at this from a street guy's perspective, you know what I mean? Which is, I've learned. I wasn't born a street guy, but in circumstances of my life, that's what I am. That's essentially what I am. I look at what happened and what didn't happen. What didn't happen is nobody who threw up a Roman salute during Heilgate ever got fucking doxxed. And I'm thinking, yeah, I think I know why. But anyway, enough about the past. Let's talk about the future. Talking about going on the streams, I used to go on a Jonathan Paul show, which his channel is completely shut down now. 100% shut down. And but he's gotten a job here in the United States. He's going to bring he's going to bring his family over to the U.S. And, for all the people that hate diversity, he's posted on Twitter like, hey, he's in this town he's in, and like he doesn't have a phone, so the Mormons help him get a phone. He's not a Mormon, he's a Presbyterian, and he doesn't have this, and somebody helps him get that, and the job he's got helped him find housing, and he found a barbecue joint that he can eat at where black people play white music. which really, I don't know how crazy that is. That's a fucking unicorn spot. And he's tweeting about this stuff, and the life in small town America suits him quite well, and he's in a very positive frame of mind. Everything's going good. Well, he left an ethno state. He left basically an ethno state. He left Kyrgyzstan, which people think, all the people who have failed family relationships, and again, that goes as high up as fucking Britney Spears, multimillionaires is, that people want money more than anything else, that they value that more than anything else, more than blood family, more than anything else. You may say that that's ugly, that's depressing, but that's reality, and you have to deal with it. So all these goofballs that think, well, just because we all speak the same language or we all have the same skin color, that we're magically going to agree on shit, you have no fucking idea. You're just delusional fuckwits who are fucking, who are either fodder for the fucking feds to grab up to get you caught up in some plot of some stupid shit that you never intended to do. Or you're helping to lead people who maybe would know better, but are getting lost in the social media fucking sauce. And so I'd like to offer a counterweight to that. You know what I mean? I'd like to offer a more sensible counterweight to that, and understand that whatever happens, you're going to need something other than the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is going to fucking zero. It's not happening tomorrow. Well, it isn't going to happen tomorrow, right? We understand that, but it's better to prepare now. You know what I mean? Better to prepare now. And my own family, as much as I try to red pill these people, one of my nieces put a fucking picture of Trump with the Bible up on fucking Facebook, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're not going to fucking make it. You're just not going to make it. You think you're talking to someone and you think they understand you, and then they go like, oh, look, here's Trump with the fucking Bible. Like, really? Did he bring the Bible to his meeting with Stormy Daniels, which lasted all of 3 fucking minutes and cost $125,000? I can help who I can help. I can offer what I can offer, and I'm not going to ban people from the fucking show, whatever. Like I said, I don't really have control of this channel that much. If I switch channels, and I would lose all of my massive 44 subscribers, and end up going to starting again from 8 or 10 people. Not that I really give a shit, but whatever. Who cares if fucking ban or don't ban somebody? You know what I mean? I'll just hide the fucking chat if I don't want to see it. But Paul, who paid a pretty high price for intellectual honesty by having to live at the fucking fringes of the empire, now gets to live at the end of his career in a pretty comfy niche, and his kid, gets to fucking live in America, learn fucking English, have a pink bicycle, have a birthday party with the fucking hats and the fucking cake and candles, and fucking grow up like an American kid. And what do you have better to offer him than that? So whatever you're talking about, whatever you think you're talking about, that's so fucking important. What do you have to offer that's better than that? And the answer is, of course, nothing. You have the bullshit, ephemera, dumb fucking shit, lies about the Pope and Genghis Khan. No one is interested in your delusions. What I'm trying to do is make you a little bit less delusional, trying to get you to focus on things that are likely to help you a lot in the future. I really don't want to argue ideology or theology or whatever, because it's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of time. You know what I mean? Can it be entertaining? Yeah. If I'm gonna fucking bitch smack somebody all over the internet, yeah, I could do that, but it's sometimes entertaining, but even I don't care to do that anymore. It's an enormous fucking effort on my part, and whatever. I'm a 56-year-old guy who drives boxes for a living. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make it as a fucking stand-up comedian. That I can grab some people's attention, maybe point you in the right direction, so you waste less time in life. You know what I mean? Then I've done a fucking, I've done my fucking part, you know. And like I've said on a number of occasions, my purpose, my goal is to peacefully and legally, without firing a shot or using any violent means, using peaceful, legal means to destroy the Federal Reserve Corporation of America. I believe Bitcoin is the way to do that. You know, you can disagree. You can think that I'm crazy. Okay. But I suggest to you that this is the best outcome for America and the world, and it is the most likely outcome for the future. You know, and every time I come on and do these streams, that's kind of the point I'm making. You know what I mean? I don't really have two messages. It's one message. It's like, you want a bright future? You want a future where you're not living in a cardboard box and eating out of a fucking dumpster? Then trade your Zog bucks for Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. Now, I don't care how you do it. Use one of these open dime things. Use a fucking ledger. Use a Trezor. Use a Jade. Use a cold card. Use a paper wallet. I don't care how you do it. You know what I mean? Even if you leave it on an exchange in a hot wallet with the fucking security key, that's that. You know, you want to have more of this rather than less. And all of these things, HGTV, Chris fucking Sky, the fucking astrology woman, the fact on September 7th, when 3 separate countries, America, Brazil, and El Salvador, all did a group buy of fucking Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dumped rather than fucking pump. It's got to tell you that really powerful people don't want you to have this, and you should want this. There's a reason why they don't want you to have it, because it has value and will continue to have value in the future, and they don't want you to have that. So you should do the opposite. That's my message. You know what I mean? Whether I present it in an entertaining fashion or not such an entertaining fashion, I don't fucking know. You know, but that's what I'm trying to get across to people. And you know, you want to argue? I guess I'll give me a fucking link. I'll go argue with somebody. You know what I mean? But it's, as soon as you act like a dick, I'm going to start treating you like a dick, and you're not going to fucking like that. So, like, play it straight, or just whatever. Do whatever you're going to do. But yeah, I think that's, what are we coming up on? 1 hour, 29 minutes. Look at what you imagine, all the stuff I covered. Talking as fast as a fucking machine gun this whole time. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I missed? No, I don't think so. Don't think so. I think we've largely, I don't know, is there anything I didn't cover? Let me scroll to the chat. Jimmy, you are an Israelite. Those fake yids in the chat were taken into captivity. What? I am an Israelite. That is news to me, my friend. That is news to me. Israelite. Here, I'll show you a fucking Israelite. Israelite. Wow, that is an outrage. That is an absolute outrage. And now I'm going to, I'll show you what a fucking Israelite I am. This will prove my bona fides. My bona fides. You want to change? What do you do when you're not doing these fantastically high production value live streams? Think about what's his name? I gotta wait for this fucking email to show. They preloaded and subverted the truth with We Was Kangs. Yeah, I'm gonna do some We Was Kang stuff. I didn't set it up correctly. Come on, reload. That's gonna take 2 fucking weeks. I might as well. I might do. You know what? I might, depending on how this goes. Where am I in? Screenshots? Let's see if we can do this. Now, see, this is the point where I've had a little too much alcohol. There's still people watching. We have one viewer who's probably in the wrong side of the country. Probably isn't even actually viewing. Here we go. Okay. So, telling me I'm an Israelite. How dare you say I'm an Israelite, sir? That is an outrage. That, sir, is an outrage. I am 100% pure Mediterranean. I am as Hellenic as the fucking day is long. Prove it, you say. Really? Prove it. Can you prove that? Well, I can prove it. What were you doing before the show? What were you doing immediately before the show? Where were you in the night on July 27th? What was I doing? What was I doing? I was doing this, as a matter of fact. I went and bought like a 1.25 pound, 2 pieces of pork butt. And I did a very secret marinade thing that I'm not going to tell you. Someday I'll reveal, but I will not reveal now. And I'm trying to make pork souvlaki, but I don't have an outdoor grill. So I'm trying to char some little bits of marinated pork. And I made some tzatziki, and I got some fucking pita bread, and I got some tomato and some red onion. This is what I was doing literally minutes before the show. In fact, my whole apartment smells kind of like roasted pork right now. So I am not at all an Israelite in any way, shape, or form, sir. I am not. There is the living proof, the living proof. And then now here's one. This is what I did. Like, I was like, you got to think of what are you going to show, what are you going to not show. So I'll do this. This is, you want to talk about Weewo's Kangs. But here's an example of elite. I don't know, childishness, magic thinking. What do you want to call it? So that's on Twitter. I fucking love this shit. All the pre-Christian world is like 10 times more interesting than the post-Christian world, to me at any rate. Okay, so these are the sandals. These are the sandals of King Tutankhamun. And what I want to show you, I'm going to try and make them as big as I can. Let's see how big it is. So can you see like the center of the foot? There is an African or a sub-Saharan African on one side. I'll make it as big as I can make it. It won't go anymore. It won't go anymore. So there you go. Those are his sandals, and you can see there's on the outer edge of the sandal there's a sub-Saharan African, and on the inner edge of the sandal there is what's probably a Jew or some type of Semite. These are King Tutankhamun's sandals. So he wanted a pair of sandals where he walked on inferior people that he hated every day. These are the god kings of Egypt. This is how they spent their time. He ordered these things made, and somebody made them for him. So King Tut walked on Africans and Jews literally every day. You wonder why they killed him when he was 14 years old. You wonder why he died so young, huh? So there it is. I don't know. I'm not sure how old those sandals are. They're pretty old, but this is how kings used to fucking spend their day. This is what they look forward to. How crazy is that? This is the kind of stuff they really don't show you in history books because it's politically incorrect. I don't know if you know that. There's a bunch of stuff that is not politically correct. This stuff, and it depends. At the end of the day, right? It's like, how do you? I'll show you this. Here's another break. This one, I just saw this like literally right before the show. By the way, I'm getting late because everyone else is asleep. Because I'm like a mental case, fucking on Monday night doing a fucking thing at 11 o'clock. No. Now I'm losing it. All right. We're gonna wait for Gmail to bring me my next fantastic. We've done a pan full of seared pork, and now we're gonna do here's my girl. You might have seen this before. You've probably seen this before, but I'm gonna show it to you in a slightly different way in a moment, so you can appreciate that the way they thought about it back in the days. Back in the days. So, by the way, YouTube is telling me I have one viewer, but I don't really believe that. I don't believe that. Here it is. There she is. This is in some Italian museum. That is the one and only Venus de Milo, or Aphrodite di Melo. Considered the most beautiful woman in the world. Of course, her arms were broken off by someone, Christians, back in the day. So when you see the statue like this, you think, well, I don't know, is it really that interesting? But a lot of things in life are a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how you look at it. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a different. This looks kind of cold. It looks clinical. It's marble. They used to paint the statues to make them look flesh-colored and realistic. The clothes would have been painted. Everything would have been made to look as if as if the goddess or god or whatever was in front of you, as if the myth had come alive. And someone with the eye of an artist, with a real artistic sense. Let me go back. I did it wrong. I clicked on the wrong end of the image. What are you doing? Oh, that's fucking. Oh, this is gonna fucking piss me off. I'll get there. It's going to take an extra step or two, but I will get there. Let's see how well this comes across on screen, because I thought when I saw this, it stunned me. Like I was like, wow, you know what I mean? But the right perspective changes everything. You know what I mean? It makes something go from mild to wild. There you go. So that's the same exact statue, shot, with a different light in the dark. Okay. Do you see it now? Do you see how much more erotic that statue is than you thought it was 2 minutes ago? Just going to leave that up there on the screen. The people, when it was originally carved, you know what I mean? If you look at that. You're looking at her belly. You're looking at her ribs. You're looking at her breasts. This looks as good or better than anything you've seen in a porn film. You know what I mean? So the fact that you lack the perspective, the cultural understanding of what the first image was, that it was meant to be seen like this, that it was meant to be seen like something that would make your pulse race just to be in the presence of it. It isn't a question of what you've lost. But there's a perspective that if you abandon your current way of looking at the world just for a few minutes, you might see wonders that you never thought were possible. You know what I mean? So there you have it. Everything for me, in my understanding of history, the way I look at history, I see things repeat over and over again. And to me, it's kind of funny. It's makes me feel connected to things that are from a very long time ago. And some people see that, and I guess some people don't see that. But it thrills me. It makes me laugh, and entertains me when I walk past things that people think are absolutely new, and no one's ever seen this before. And I know where that comes from. I know what the origin of it is and how that image or the perception of that thing has changed over time. It's fun for me to have that perspective, and it makes me feel connected to things bigger than myself. So anyway, looks like the chat has died down. YouTube swears I only have one viewer right now, and it might actually be right because we're coming up on 11:12 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so I think we covered everything we want to cover. Keeping this not super compressed, but somewhat compressed. We're not doing 3 hours. We'll do 1 hour 43, thereabouts. And I will let you guys out. I will say thank you for showing up. And we'll see what happens this week. And I will talk to you again next week. So good night, guys.